Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed fast. Today, we're tackling a journey many of you are either on or maybe thinking about. Graduate studies and research can feel like you're navigating this huge, sometimes overwhelming landscape, right? Where you feel like you constantly need a reliable map, maybe a good compass, or perhaps a really smart companion.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much what we're talking about today, how artificial intelligence, AI, can become that, well, invaluable companion.
Yeah.
And even a thought partner throughout your whole research process. Our deep dive today is all about pulling out the essential insights from the Do a Thesis with AI series. This series is based on the really brilliant guide, AI Companion for Graduate Studies and Researchers, by Associate Professor Dr. Suthida Chamrat. So our mission here is simple. Extract the most impactful ways AI can support you. From setting those big goals right through to professionally communicating your findings at the end.
And what's really interesting about Dr. Chamrat's approach, I think, is that it goes way beyond just, teaching you how to use a new app or tool. It really introduces a fundamental shift in how we approach intellectual work. And crucially, it always keeps the human element and ethical considerations right there at the forefront. We'll definitely dig into the guiding philosophy she calls the AI Usage Manifesto. It's a kind of a framework designed to make sure that as AI expands what we can do, our own critical judgment and responsibility actually deepen.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundational mindset first. How does Dr. Chamrat really position AI in this, well, often demanding academic journey?
Well, she frames AI as much more than just a simple tool. Think of it more like a companion, an assistant, even a mirror for your own thoughts. And this applies at every single stage of your graduate work. So that covers everything from setting your initial research goals, designing your study, analyzing data, even crafting those professional communications. The ultimate aim, she says, is to achieve algorithmically designed success, which is a really powerful idea.
Algorithmically designed success. Yeah, I find that compelling too. It suggests a very deliberate, sort of structured approach, not just using AI here and there. So if AI is meant to be this powerful partner, what are the key principles from that AI usage manifesto that help us, interact with it wisely, ethically?
Right. The manifesto outlines 6 principles, but there are 2 that are truly foundational for any researcher, I'd say. First, the idea is you use AI as a thought partner, definitely not a replacement thinker. So this means AI can broaden your horizons, offer solutions maybe, but you are always the one scrutinizing, validating its answers, always. And second, you have to engage with critical judgment, never, ever with blind trust. You have to verify the information AI gives you, review the knowledge it generates, and critically maintain your human conscience throughout. Those 2 are really the bedrock.
Got it. So it's about expanding our thinking, but never outsourcing it completely. And what's the overarching pledge then? The thing that kind of sums up this whole philosophy.
Yeah, the manifesto ends with this really profound pledge. It says, "We will learn from AI, but will not stop thinking for ourselves. We will move forward steadily, not because AI leads, but because we have the wisdom to use AI consciously, ethically, and responsibly." And that really sets the stage, for how we should interact with AI all through our academic lives.
That leads us perfectly into how we actually start this journey,
Right.
setting your course. Because graduate study can feel like such a long, winding path, right? And having a clear destination is just crucial. How does AI help you chart that course right from the get-go?
Well, AI acts as this really versatile helper. It can be a consultant and also that self-reflection mirror you mentioned earlier. So when you're trying to define your research, AI can kickstart brainstorming. It might ask these open-ended questions like, what are the ethical challenges of AI in the classroom? That can help you uncover new angles, maybe pinpoint your real interests. Then it assists in breaking down a massive job like a thesis into manageable chunks. Short, medium, long-term goals. Think clear phases, like, 1 to 3 months for the lit review, maybe 9 to 18 months for the final thesis writing itself.
Right. And Dr. Chamrat takes the familiar SMART goals and introduces SMATE goals. What's the AI twist there? How does AI make them, even more actionable?
The AI twist in SMATE goals. It's basically that AI helps generate not just vague statements, but specific data points and relevant resources too. This makes your goals incredibly concrete. So, for example, instead of just saying read articles, AI helps you phrase it like read 30 articles from Scopus, i.e. Eric, by June 21, 2025. See? It suggests specific, reputable databases. It might even calculate the exact number of articles you need to read per day to hit that deadline. That makes it much more precise, much more actionable. AI can even help draft your long-term academic and career goals, building out a detailed academic roadmap semester by semester. And it can adjust for real-world stuff, like if you're a working student.
That sounds incredibly practical for planning. But, sometimes it's not just about setting the goals. It's finding that deep motivation to actually stick with them, especially when the initial excitement wears off. How does AI help with that?
Yeah, that's a big one. And this is where the deep motivation analysis or purpose map idea comes in. AI can use the 5 whys technique, repeatedly asking why to dig down to your true underlying motivations. For instance, asking why you're interested in AI in education might eventually lead you to a core value like educational equity, maybe rooted in a personal experience. AI then helps you build a purpose map. This connects your why, your core purpose, to your how, your values, and then your specific actions. But what's really powerful, I think, is AI's ability to prompt really deep self-reflection. It can generate these challenging questions that push you beyond the surface answers. Things like, what's your deepest fear about this research? Or even, how do you want this research remembered when you're 80? It's almost like having a personalized research therapist in a way.
Wow. Yeah, those questions definitely go deep. Okay, so once you've tapped into those motivations, how does AI help turn them into daily practice and keep that momentum going?
Right. So AI assists in creating dynamic action plans. These aren't rigid, they're flexible. They include contingencies, quality checks, iterative learning loops, like maybe a detailed 3-week plan just for your literature review. It can also design sustainable motivation systems, think tiered reward structures maybe, or multi-layered support networks, strategies to manage those inevitable slumps we all hit. Basically, it acts like your personalized accountability partner and your cheer squad all rolled into one system.
So AI helps plan the journey and maintain the drive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that naturally leads us to designing the work itself for maximum efficiency. You mentioned systematic work design being crucial.
Absolutely crucial. And AI significantly streamlines the whole research process. The book details elements like the task tree. This is basically a hierarchical breakdown of your main tasks and all the subtasks. It lets you visually see how your research kind of branches out. Then there are milestones. These are clear, measurable progress points. Things like literature review completed or proposal approved, very concrete. AI also helps create a comprehensive timeline structured around your deadlines. It can even work backward from your final submission date, which is really useful. And importantly, it helps build in buffer time for those unexpected delays that always seem to pop up.
It really sounds like AI can function as a pretty comprehensive project manager for your thesis. How does it make the actual workflow day-to-day more flexible and efficient?
Well, it provides these application guidelines across the entire workflow. It helps with planning, prioritization, data collection, analysis, content creation, the whole lot.
Yeah.
So imagine you're writing an academic article. Your human judgment defines the core argument, right? But AI can suggest insights, search for relevant info, summarize articles, analyze trends and data, draft sections of content, even check your grammar. It becomes this true human-AI collaboration. AI handles a lot of the heavy lifting with information processing, which frees you up to focus on the critical thinking, the synthesis, the really high-level stuff.
Okay, now, if there's one challenge that feels almost universal in academia, it's got to be procrastination. Let's talk about how AI becomes a powerful ally in fighting that battle.
Oh, procrastination. Yes, it's definitely universal. And AI can help us understand ourselves better to overcome it. An AI coach, maybe a chatbot, can ask probing questions to get at the root causes. What makes you not want to do this particular task? AI can even analyze patterns from your daily behavior logs, maybe tracking app usage or work times to identify your peak productivity periods or common distractions you might not even realize you have.
So it helps figure out the why behind the procrastination, not just nags you to stop. What about practical everyday strategies, like, say, the Pomodoro technique?
Yeah, AI really enhances those traditional methods. It can offer what's called an adaptive Pomodoro. It customizes the work and break intervals based on your style or the task type. Maybe it suggests longer 45-minute blocks for deep focus or shorter bursts for, say, editing. It also turbocharges that classic advice. Break big goals into small, actionable tasks. AI is brilliant at dividing large goals into clear, manageable substeps and then helping you prioritize them. It can even perform something called critical path analysis. Think of it like finding the one crucial domino in a long chain. If that one doesn't fall on time, the whole project gets held up. AI helps pinpoint that single, most critical step so you know where to focus your energy most effectively.
Knowing where to focus your research, that's often one of the biggest early hurdles for grad students, right? Let's talk about pinpointing your research niche. How does AI act as that intelligent compass here?
Oh, this is a really key area where AI shines. Finding research gaps, those unexplored areas or unanswered questions. AI can analyze a broad topic, let's say online learning in university, and identify understudied areas. For instance, it might point out the long-term impact on critical thinking in digital environments as a gap. And then it can actually generate specific research questions based on those gaps. Dr. Chamrat also introduces the pyramid method. Here, AI helps build a sort of knowledge pyramid for a topic. It identifies the foundational knowledge at the base, then areas with some study, and finally, right at the peak, the unanswered questions. This directly leads you to high potential research gaps.
That sounds incredibly efficient, much better than just randomly searching databases for weeks. What about breaking down the components within a research question, like the variables?
AI is invaluable for variable analysis, too. It helps you systematically identify potential variables, independent, dependent, even those tricky mediating or moderating ones. So if you're studying, say, the work-from-home impact on performance, AI can suggest variables like WFH hours, type of work, maybe work-life balance score, and it can even suggest how you might measure them. This systematic approach helps ensure you consider all the relevant factors, leading to a much more robust research design.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit now to a deeper, more conceptual part of research. Dr. Chamrat explores your philosophical compass in the AI era, and she really emphasizes that research philosophy isn't just some chapter you have to write in your thesis. It's a true compass, guiding your methodological choices, your epistemological decisions, and again, reinforcing that human judgment is paramount, even with AI helping out.
Exactly right. Dr. Chamrat breaks this down into 4 key philosophical concepts. First is metaphysics. This basically explores the nature of reality. For a researcher, the question becomes, is scientific knowledge something we discover that exists out there, independent of us? Or is it socially constructed through our interpretations and interactions? Now, AI can help explore different viewpoints on this, but here's a critical point. AI systems themselves often operate with embedded assumptions. Sometimes they lean towards a positivist view that reality is objective and measurable. A researcher needs to be really aware of this, especially if their own work takes a more constructivist or interpretive stance.
Ah, okay. So the AI itself might have a kind of built-in philosophical lean, and we need to understand that bias when we use it. What about the next concept, how we perceive what exists?
That's ontology, what exists and how we see it. Your ontological view, whether you lean towards positivism, objective reality, phenomenology reality based on human experience, or maybe constructivism, socially constructed reality. This profoundly shapes your research design. For example, if you're studying students' understanding of, say, force in motion using a constructivist lens, you'd likely lean towards qualitative methods. You'd be trying to uncover their subjective interpretations, not just measure some objective outcome.
And then how do we actually know something? That would be epistemology, correct?
Yes. Third is epistemology. This deals with the nature of knowledge itself, how it's acquired, what its limits are. This directly guides your data collection and analysis methods. Now, AI can certainly analyze literature to identify epistemological assumptions in existing research, but your final decision as a researcher is key. And again, remember that AI, as an algorithmic system, often has these embedded positivist assumptions. So if your research is rooted in empiricism knowledge from observation, AI can be a fantastic tool for collecting data and finding patterns. But if you're exploring subjective meanings, you need to be very careful and intentional about how you prompt the AI and how you interpret its output.
Right. Recognizing AI's own potential leanings is really critical, especially for researchers using different philosophical approaches. And the final one was axiology.
Fourth, yes, axiology. This is all about values, meaning, and ethics in research. It covers ethical values, honesty, fairness, participant rights, but also aesthetic values like clarity and completeness in your writing. And sociocultural values too, like social responsibility or awareness of social norms. AI can assist here. It might help identify potential ethical risks in your study design or analyze text for potential bias. For example, it might flag privacy concerns if you're collecting certain data. However, and this is crucial, AI doesn't have a moral compass. Human moral judgment remains absolutely essential. You, the researcher, must always ensure your work and your use of AI within that work aligns with the highest ethical standards.
That's such an important reminder. AI amplifies, yes, but it absolutely doesn't replace our intellectual and ethical responsibilities. All right, so once all that brilliant, ethically sound research is done, How do we get those findings out effectively? Professional research communication with AI covers this, because even the best research needs good communication to actually have an impact.
Absolutely. And AI plays a pretty significant role in enhancing this part of the process, too. Think about creating graphs and tables from raw data. AI tools, things like Tableau, Power BI, even ChatGPT itself can analyze your data, suggest the most appropriate plots, generate the necessary code, say in Python or R, and help you customize the visuals. This can save a huge amount of time. But the caveat is always there. You must verify the data accuracy yourself, understand the interpretations fully, and avoid any kind of data distortion, accidental or otherwise.
Right, the human oversight is key. And what about digging into causal reasoning? That's so essential for a strong discussion section in a paper or thesis.
Indeed. The book really emphasizes differentiating correlation from true causation. Looking for association, temporal precedence, does the cause come before the effect, and trying to eliminate alternative explanations. AI can analyze both quantitative data running correlations, regressions, path analyses, and qualitative data, maybe through content or thematic analysis, to help find potential causal links and build explanatory models. It can also act as a check against common logical fallacies in your writing, helping you avoid things like jumping from correlation to causation or overgeneralizing your findings or falling prey to confirmation bias. Think of it like a logical sparring partner helping you strengthen your arguments.
So AI can be this sophisticated discussion assistant helping structure things and check logic, but you still need to maintain your own unique voice, your own insights. How does it help without, taking over?
That's the balance, exactly. AI can generate discussion outlines, maybe suggest different perspectives to consider, help link your findings back to relevant theories or existing literature it finds. But, and this is crucial, AI is just the starting point. It's not the final word. Dr. Chamrat strongly advises researchers to personalize the content, add their own unique insights, always verify the information, and crucially, use their own distinctive writing style. AI can also help check things like coverage, did you address all the key points, consistency, clarity, accuracy, making sure the final product is polished and truly reflects your scholarship.
Okay, all of this using AI effectively for goals, planning, analysis, communication,
Right.
it really boils down to one core skill: effective communication with the AI itself. Which brings us nicely to mastering AI communication, chain of thought, and prompt engineering. This really sounds like the art of getting the most out of your AI companion.
Yes, this chapter is absolutely foundational for practical, everyday AI use. It introduces this concept of chain of thought, or COT. Basically, it means getting the AI to show its step-by-step thinking process, not just spit out the final answer. Think of it like asking a friend to explain a complex math problem in detail, showing all the steps, instead of just giving you the solution. The benefits are huge. You get transparency, it helps your own learning, you can check the quality of the reasoning, and you generally get much more reasoned, reliable answers from the AI. For example, instead of just saying, analyze this data, you'd ask the AI to first explain the data structure, then identify key trends, then point out any anomalies or interesting issues, and finally suggest further questions based on this analysis. You see the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about guiding the AI's whole thought process, not just the output.
Okay.
Okay, what about basic prompt engineering? What actually makes a good prompt?
Well, good prompts really emphasize three things. Clarity, be specific about the task. Context, give the AI necessary background information. And examples show it the kind of output style or format you're looking for. The book actually provides a useful professional prompt structure for research tasks. It goes something like role, context, task, format, constraints, examples. So, for instance, you could tell the AI, you are a quantitative research expert role. I'm analyzing employee satisfaction survey data for 350 people. Context. Recommend appropriate statistical tests explaining each step task. Format the explanation as data check, statistic choice, reason, precautions format. Avoid overly technical jargon constraints. See example analysis style attached examples. That level of detail helps ensure you get exactly what you need.
That's incredibly detailed, yeah. So beyond those basics, what are some of the more advanced prompt techniques that can unlock even more power from the AI?
Oh, there's some great ones. Advanced techniques include things like role-playing. You assign the AI a specific persona, like you are a skeptical senior thesis committee member. Please review my research hypothesis critically. Or one I really like is the devil's advocate technique. You specifically ask the AI to challenge your beliefs and assumptions. Ask it to point out weaknesses in your argument or suggest alternative hypotheses. It's an amazing way to stress test your research and make it much, much stronger. You can also build these continuous prompt systems using prompt chaining, where you link multiple prompts together for complex tasks like analyze this data, followed by now link these trends to establish theory, then create practical recommendations based on this, or iterative refinement, where you use successive prompts to fine-tune the AI's output over several rounds, having a real back-and-forth dialogue.
Right, it's about turning the AI into this truly personalized learning and research partner.
Okay.
What are the common pitfalls, then, the mistakes people make when trying to use these techniques?
The book highlights several common errors. Things like using vague prompts not being specific enough, asking too much all at once in a single prompt. Critically, not providing sufficient context for the AI to understand the request properly. And also, just having unrealistic expectations of what AI can actually do. You have to remember, AI can't replace your critical thinking. It doesn't magically have access to your specific, unpublished research data unless you provide it. And it might occasionally provide inaccurate or outdated information. It's an incredibly powerful tool, yes, but your human intellect needs to remain firmly in the driver's seat.
Wow. This deep dive has been such an incredible journey. It really shows how Dr. Suthida Chamrat's work provides this comprehensive roadmap for navigating graduate studies with AI, not just alongside it. We've really explored how AI can be an invaluable companion at pretty much every stage, from helping set clear goals and manage time effectively to identifying those crucial research gaps, grounding your work philosophically, and finally communicating your findings with real impact.
Yes, I think the core message here is really clear. AI is not about replacing human intelligence. It's a powerful enhancer. It amplifies our abilities, making us more efficient, more effective researchers. But what's absolutely vital is keeping the human in the loop. Your critical thinking, your ethical responsibility, your unique insights, that's what makes the research truly valuable and meaningful. And that AI usage manifesto we talked about earlier, that serves as the overarching ethical and responsible framework for all your interaction with AI.
So for you, our listener, let's boil this down. Here are some key takeaways from this deep dive to keep in mind. First, AI really helps structure and clarify your entire research journey, from those initial fuzzy ideas right through to the final presentation. Second, it's a genuinely valuable tool for overcoming common academic hurdles like procrastination by offering personalized strategies and even a bit of accountability. Third, AI enhances traditional research processes. It provides sophisticated assistance in analysis, in synthesis, in communication. Fourth, mastering communication with AI using techniques like prompt engineering and chain of thought is absolutely essential to get the most value. And finally, maybe most importantly, AI amplifies your human intelligence. It doesn't replace the need for your critical thought, your philosophical grounding, or your deep ethical responsibility.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. As you embark on, or maybe continue, your own research journey, consider this. What new frontiers of knowledge could you unlock when you consciously combine your unique human capacity for critical thought, for empathy, for foresight, with the immense analytical and generative power of AI, especially in your chosen field? What becomes possible then?